morning, morning, good morning.
Welcome back, viewers, to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. And we have in studio with us the TPP candidate for Tobago East, Mr. David Thomas. But before we have any conversations with Mr. Thomas, we want to go to our photo of the day. And the photo of the day will be coming up right about now. Our photo of the day sent in to us by Kimberly Narayan Govaya. This is our photo of the day sent in by Kimberly Narayan Govaya, sorry. And send us your answers in our Facebook and YouTube live chats of where you think this photo is from. Yes, once again, our photo sent in to us by Kimberly Narayan Govaya. All right, like I said before, we have in studio with us Mr. David Thomas, the TPP candidate for Tobago East, and he's here to talk about his campaign for the general elections 2025. Good morning, Mr. Thomas.
Good morning, and good morning to Tobago and the wider listening and viewing audience.
So tell us, how has the hustings been so far, the campaigning?
It has been very, very hectic. I mean, Tobago East geographically is a huge space. And lots of what you are discovering, right? It's an eye-opener because the terrain and the topography is, what it is. We very hilly and so on. And, but I am up to the task. I am in fact enjoying the campaigning. It allows you to meet people at all levels of life. And it also puts you in a place where you understand what people feel. You understand what your representation is expected to be, and is in essence preparing you for the task at hand.
So in your campaigning and your canvassing, what are some of the burning issues that persons have been expressing to you they want addressed in Tobago East?
Right, of course, the holistic development of Tobago East is on the front burner all the time. The people in Tobago East are able to identify, they're very, very conscious of all the natural resources, all the tourist attractions, and all the levels of development that could put Tobago East on the map. Tobago East appears, based on comments that people make, to be forgotten, right? And I don't think that all the persons who have represented Tobago East in the past really made a major effort to cause development to come to Tobago East. And they are saying it's time that Tobago East get up to pace with the development in Tobago West and Trinidad, as a matter of fact. Right? If we are talking development, it must be holistic development, and therefore we should not sit idly by and allow everything to happen around us. Right? We never knew that we could have had some of the recent developments, but in area of housing, in area of boosting up, they said that we were given a hospital, yes, but when you have a hospital that could only accommodate 23 beds, as opposed to what is happening in other places in this country, we feel that development may be more of a gimmick rather than a conscious effort to give Tobago East something substantial that can serve the population of Tobago East.
I was now going to raise the issue that there's been a number of infrastructural developments, particularly in the Roxborough area. We saw also the refurbishment of the Manta Lodge in Speyside. So there's been a number of work over the years in really trying to bring that sort of infrastructural development towards Tobago East. So I was wondering what were the specific issues that persons were facing, that persons had in your walkabouts, that they think that Tobago East is lagging behind.
All right, Tobago East is known primarily for having several different tourism products, none of which are being developed at this time. And we know the Tobago economy leans heavily on its tourism product. And because we have a lot of natural things, we have a lot of artifacts, we have a lot of opportunities to explore, right? And if you look at what is happening, there hasn't, because I have in my walkabouts been taken to waterfalls up in Goldsboro that remains undiscovered. right? Except by hunters, they went and they saw it and they saw the potential. So a group of young people took me hiking up in that Goldsboro area. And the discovery is amazing. And that is something that we can develop and monetize so that the benefits that it brings to Tobago and the opportunity that it creates for young people, if we do that kind of development, we may very well not have a crisis with employment and other things on the island, because you are in fact creating an opportunity for Tobagonians to flourish by doing these types of developments.
Okay, so in terms of developing the tourism product, that's really a function of the Tobago House of Assembly. But you're going for general elections, which is in Parliament. So just speak to us about how your representation in Parliament is going to help impact or make a difference in these aspects of development that the persons in Tobago are very, like you said, are very conscious that they're falling behind in.
Yeah, well, naturally, to do any major development in Tobago, you would need financial resources. And I do not have to re-emphasize how much Tobago has been deprived. This present administration that is in the THA, they started off by receiving 400 million for development. And now we are receiving half of that. And you have to measure that half against overdrafts that they would have to take, right, to keep the Tobago people, safe in terms of receiving their remunerations. And because interest is paid on the overdraft, so in fact, when that interest is taken out of the 200 million, right, it would fall way under 200 million. And if you understand what 200 million is, if you start paving roads from Charlottesville, coming downwards, you may barely get into Delaford with 200 million.
Might even reach Speyside.
May not even reach Speyside. So there is where I am heading. And you see, to head there, it has to start with respect. It has to start with the autonomy question. Because I am sure, after I've done my research, that quite a huge bit of the resources extracted from the Tobago waters is what boosts the GDP of this country. And therefore, it's only fair that if Tobago is contributing a huge sum to the GDP, then Tobago should be considered. If you are talking about equity and fairness, how many years now? It's over 20, maybe 25 years, when the Dispute Resolution Commission made its ruling, and we continue to still get the 4.03%.
Never hitting the upper limit.
Never hitting the upper limit. And I believe that is intentional, because it's a move to stymie Tobago. So if you're not having the resources to develop Tobago, then of course you cannot diversify, you cannot embark on new projects to, of course, answer the unemployment problem and the further development of Tobago. And I think that if the people that speak outside of our shores, that they have an interest in Tobago, and the representatives that we do have now, that always feels that whatever is allocated to us in the budget is sufficient. And I always try to remind Tobagonians that monies that are allocated to you are not essentially, not really money that is released to you. Because if you talk to the finance secretary, you would see that there is a huge sum of money that was unpaid to Tobago. My last check in, it may be well over $150 million. And that is money Tobago can do it. We do not have to worry about the intellectual capacity. We do not have to worry about the experts that we have in Tobago that can properly invest that money, so the returns on the investment can positively impact the lives of the Tobagonian. And I am saying that once we are conscious of what we truly deserve, by making the right approaches, by standing up to be recognized, by ensuring that whatever falls between the boundaries of Tobago, we benefit fully from it, then I think Tobago would essentially become the greatest little island on the planet.
So, Mr. Thomas, you spoke about autonomy, and I'm not sure if you were part of, there was a panel discussion, civil net discussion, I think it was last night itself. And there's this general thought in terms of the resources of Trinidad and Tobago, that there is no Trinidad resources and there are no Tobago resources. And you spoke about equity in terms of Tobago getting more out of our contribution to the wealth of Trinidad and Tobago. But there's a school of thinking that says that all the resources of Trinidad and Tobago are pooled as one, and there's no Tobago resources, and there are no Trinidad resources, and as such, the conversation really isn't to get more out of Tobago's contribution to Trinidad and Tobago, but it's more of how do you get a larger share of the natural pooled resources? What's your response to that
Well,
take?
I think that the people that come to the public or come to the fore with discussions like those, they are ill intent, right? I think it's a disingenuous approach to what should happen, right? If you are serious about treating Tobago better, why haven't we had a budget where instead of getting 4.03%, they have gone to the upper limit of 6.9%, right? You have a margin, but you stay at the lower limit all the time. And we have seen other governments giving more than that. So if it could happen in those instances, why can't it happen now? Right? And everybody understands money. You are not dealing with an age where people do not understand money and money value. If you can say to me that this present TG started off with 400 million, then also publicly say to me, why have you reduced it to 200 million? I have listened to commentators, including the former Prime Minister, saying that Tobago only contributes 200 million to the GDP. And therefore, a concerted effort has been made to ensure that we only receive 200 million. And if you are sure that what Tobago gets is what it truly deserves, why don't you give Tobago the export license it needs for the products that we produce at Studley Park? Because we can essentially produce and monetize Studley Park to the benefit of Tobago. But if there is a concerted effort to not give that export license, it means that you continue to keep Tobago under subjection. And I take umbrage to that. I think Tobago has many, many products that it can monetize, and if you give us, you probably do not want to give us more money, fine. But why do you also prevent us from producing and exporting so that we can bring some added revenue into the economy? Why can't we take loans? Why, when these organizations like the IDB and other entities that wants to give you grants and so on to boost the Tobago economy, why do you deny us?
So you're now saying that in the absence of increased revenue, give us increased autonomy.
Precisely. And if you do that, then you are essentially creating the opportunity for Tobagonians to flourish, to Tobagonians to become intimately attached to what prosperity is.
So, Mr. Thomas, some people may argue that that the TPP did have the opportunity to get the increased autonomy with the last bill, and you all did not exactly support it. How would you respond to that kind of criticism?
Well, I do not know that the TPP sits in the parliament. I know that the TPP is now contesting a general election for the first time. And anybody who understands the politics and who is following the politics would very well know that the TPP is contesting its first general elections. And it's because of the fallouts that we have seen. It is because of the atrocities that has been meted out towards Tobago and Tobagonians. We are making this intervention because we understand what quality service and what quality representation is all about. And we are sure that we have not benefited from that in the past, and therefore we are making this approach because we're going to have quality people representing us and quality people who understands the needs of Tobago, and therefore going forward, Tobago can expect that it will indeed flourish, and you would see a type of development that is parallel to Trinidad or anywhere else in the Caribbean. As V.S. Naipaul said in his book, Tobagonians are the only people who do not have a say in as regards to its destiny. And that is a huge statement. It means that when we have spoken about all the big talk about emancipation and all that, we are in fact enslaved. And we are enslaved by our own people in the Caribbean. Not in the Caribbean, but in Trinidad and Tobago, the hierarchy of government, and our representatives seem not to be able to come up with a recipe to even impact that in a positive way so that Tobago benefits.
Okay. So, Mr. Thomas, we want to thank you very much for coming in and joining us and sharing your political philosophy with us.
Yes.
And we wish you a safe and safe campaign, and safe and productive campaign. And may the best man win on the day.
Well, I think you're face to face with the winner this morning, because we do not need to debate that further. But I am saying that I wish all that are involved in the elections, I wish them well, right? And I allow yourselves to benefit from quality representation that will bring prosperity to the Tobago space. And going forward, you would very well understand that you have been deprived over the years. And now that God has sent a man, expect things to change in a very positive way.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Thomas, for that. The TPP candidate for Tobago East in the upcoming general elections. So before we go, ladies and gentlemen, we have one more announcement. The marketing department in the Division of Food Security, Natural Resources, the Environment and Sustainable Development presents Easter Extravaganza Tree. Yes, Easter Extravaganza Tree. It's a family affair this Friday, 25th April at the Scarborough Market for the annual Easter Extravaganza. Join us from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. for exciting activities for the kids, including an Easter egg hunt, chow and juice making, cupcake decorating, and more. For more information, call 639-1966 extension 3550. That's 639-1966 extension 3550. This message was brought to you by the Division of Food Security, Natural Resources, the Environment, and Sustainable Development. And before we close off, we take you back to our photo of the day. Which was sent in to us by Kimberly Narayan Govaya. Yes, sent in to us by Kimberly Narayan Govaya. And this is a photo of Crown Point. Yes, this is in Crown Point. I know that some of you all might be wondering where in Crown Point it is. I cannot help you with that. I'm not too sure myself, but I was told that this is in Crown Point. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's all we have for you today in the Tobago Updates morning show. But our programming doesn't end there. Up next, we have GMT, and I know that you have a lot of friends and family that would like to see and hear the discussions that are continuing as we go on to elections 2025. So up next is GMT. So do us a favor, share the live. We'll be right back with